Taylor O'Donnell and Mike Effenberger are a duo. Each of these musicians are at the top of their game, truly spectacular in their precision and artistry, and together, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, are only improved by their union. Peanut butter. Mike Effenberger loves tape delay, but strongly dislikes chorus, and dislikes Willow. Have you ever fallen asleep under a weeping willow, Mike? The swish of the long, droopy branches seeping into your dream?
Welcome to Burst and Bloom Presents. Today on this very green couch, I've got Taylor O'Donnell and Mike Effenberger. Been playing together as a duo. When did you guys start doing that thing?
When did we start?
As a duo, it's probably only been a year or two, right? Yeah, so this is a newer project. We played a show here in Kittery. Yeah, it's probably last summer, last fall. Realized we liked doing it, and so we haven't stopped yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll just keep going until you hate one another and they're
Well, I feel like we've
done.
Yeah, you know. And then maybe on the other side of that again.
Right, exactly. Yeah, cycle through.
Yes, play
Yeah.
together in the afterlife.
We've played together in other settings too for like 10, 13 years now.
Yeah,
Sure.
what were some of
Kinda
the other projects that you guys performed together in?
We were in Mother Superior for the longest time. Mother Superior and the Sliding Royals.
Yeah.
And when I first moved to the seacoast, I had a little band called Cheeks.
Right? Oh,
wow.
That was with Mike and Chris, my husband, Chris Claxton, and then Amanda was playing bass on that too.
Yeah.
Wow.
We just did a couple
Family
shows.
affair.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of family dinner kind of style. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking about how that must be because you both have partners who are musical and maybe sometimes you play together and sometimes more often you don't. But how is that relationship to music and coupling? How does that work out?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for Chris and I, we enjoy a lot of the same music. And actually, I feel like the project that Mike and I have is really similar in a lot of ways to the project that you have with Chris, the Sad Bastards, that Loose Standards. But kind of our approaches, I think, in that are a little different. And especially how Mike approaches the music, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my wife Amanda calls it peeing in the pool. Like we don't put music together a lot. Kind of leave that be, except where it's like necessary. Every now and again it'll come up.
Yeah.
But I mean, Amanda's relationship to music is pretty different. Like her activity in music tends to be focused around like old time string band music, like American folk music, which I'm not that deep into. So she's got no cause to move me into something I'm not as good at.
And on stage, you're very different. She's wildly animated and smiling the whole time, and you seem pretty stoic and just in the groove.
Yeah, which is what I love about both of them in their own right. And I think that was actually something I loved about that initial project that we did, because I call Amanda just has the best quarter note around. So there was definitely like an element of her holding down the time feel of all of us together. And then I think color and texture wise, everyone had the chance to kind of space out a bit.
That's awesome. Yeah. Are you doing any projects right now with your husband, Chris Claxton?
I am just beginning a project, but it's geared towards little kids. So we have our arsenal of children's tunes has clearly grown in the last couple of years. So we're putting something together just for our kids' daycare, and then also with Taylor Blankenship, who is my sister-in-law, and she's wonderful with children and understands a lot about children's development. So we're going to put something together there.
Awesome. Well, one of your projects was making people. So
Oh yeah, that's a big project.
It's good to make some music for them.
Yeah.
Nice. So these are songs that you're writing, or are you doing traditional songs? How's it going to work?
Both. I actually have a series of originals that I did in 2014 that were all based on children's books, like Guess How Much I Love You. And then there's an Eric Carle book called Draw Me a Star. And that's actually a song that I've played Played with Mike. Yeah, so it's going to be some originals that were based around children's books, and then some old tried and true favorites.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a woman, Elizabeth Mitchell from the band Ida, who I know, who started doing children's music for nieces, and then they had a daughter of their own, and they started playing together. Yeah,
she is on repeat at our house
quite
often. We love Elizabeth Mitchell.
It's really hard to find good kids music that's not insipid and repetitive.
And yeah, exactly. Beautiful and respectful towards children too. In that way, they like good music.
Yeah, and Mike, you have a whole variety of projects. How do you kind of disseminate what happens with what group, and how do you dip your toes in a variety of projects?
It's pretty situational. So yeah, every configuration kind of tends to call for different stuff from me personally. So here, with our duo, we often end up operating in a jazz-ish way, and that just like funnels decisions that I make towards a certain aesthetic, basically, while still trying to maintain self as much as necessary. But other stuff, like sometimes if I'm playing at the church down the street, like that calls for totally different stuff most of the time.
Right.
So just trying to meet the situation where possible.
Yeah, it seems as though in some ways you have to split your brain up a little bit, because some of these are wildly different projects and feels.
Yeah, sure. I think everybody does that stuff. Like if, the way you speak to your grandmother is probably pretty different than the way you speak to your buddy at the bar or whatever. Like, everybody puts on whatever code switching.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what is your history musically with schooling? Did you study music, or did you just develop your own style? How did that work?
I took lessons as a kid and then stopped, and then took a bunch more lessons later as an older kid.
Yeah.
And then fell into music pretty hard at that time, and then went to a new school for college. Like I went to a jazz school basically.
Wow, where was that?
New school, it's New York.
Okay, yeah, the one in Brooklyn.
No, they're in Manhattan. It's like Union Square area in Manhattan.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that able to blow your mind up in ways and help you think about things in a different fashion?
Yeah, it still does. I'm still learning from stuff that happened there. I think about, interactions and like specific experiences that happen there to this day, and how to sort of still process them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you do a lot of teaching as well. My former doctor, Fred Thaler, worships at the altar of Mike Effenberger. And yeah, I can't imagine what that's like for you. And yeah, just to be a mentor to people in that fashion.
He's such great people. Every now and again you get the students that are just the best ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. How about you, Taylor? Did you actually study music, or were you just found your way in naturally?
No, I did. I took piano lessons growing up. I wanted to learn how to play and sing at the same time. And then I stopped piano and took voice lessons for a bit. And then, I fell into music around age 18, where I decided I really wanted to go to school for it. And then I transferred a couple times to finish my degree, and then did my master's degree in Miami, and that's where I met my husband, and came back here and just... So I think I came at music kind of more from the academic standpoint. And it really wasn't until making music in a room with my friends where I came to that much later, that I think the theoretical aspect of it. So I think what you were saying about approaching music with like the different roles, different hats, that's something that I think has been relatively new to me, just because I think because jazz was always the lens that I think I've viewed, or I've taken music in, and even some of my favorite artists and bands tend to approach music from that standpoint. And so it wasn't until I think my mid-20s where I fell in love with melody and just looking at music with a lyric sheet or sitting around with someone playing guitar, and So I think that was kind of switched for me in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people come at it from learning music, making it organically growing up, and then realizing they need the theory for it. So I think it's been a lot of switching for me. Yeah.
So were you here prior to going to school in Miami?
I wasn't. I grew up in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to school there for a year, and I studied classical voice that first year. And then I moved to a really tiny town in Iowa called Creston. I think we had 4 traffic lights. And there was a teacher there that I just really wanted to study with. His name is Phil Matson, and he is big in the vocal jazz world of like a cappella writing, and wrote charts for the Manhattan Transfer and Claire Fisher, the piano player.
Big time.
And Gene Perling, who did like the High-Lows and Singers Unlimited. So it was kind of that school of thought. I just wanted to learn more about the richness of that writing. So I studied with him for a couple years and then moved to Michigan. Then finished my bachelor's degree there in Kalamazoo.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah. That's where I met Nick Manila. I met some friends actually we know from around here. And then it was making that connection when I moved to Miami. So
awesome.
Yeah. Was always seeking out school or seeking out more education.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm amazed in your live shows, it being just the two of you and like playing piano and you're singing, just the range that you're able to incorporate when you do that. And it seems like you do a lot of different projects, but also within this project, there's a lot of different styles that you're trying to wrangle in. Why did you pick that approach, or what is inspiring you to play those kind of shows?
Yeah, I think we just kind of drifted in that direction. Like we both like a lot of stuff. And I'm still unsure if that trait that we both have and a bunch of our colleagues and friends have too is like a net positive or net negative. Like it's, there's so much stuff to love. Yeah. And I like to be able to access parts of a lot of things. Yeah. And it can also be confusing. Like it's somewhere between an aesthetic judgment and an identity criticism.
I think you're finding us like right in the middle of that exploration in a lot of ways, which is that we love, I love someone like Stephen Sondheim, but then there's like a way of delivering a Stephen Sondheim tune. And then rectifying with whether that can coexist alongside something like Big Thief and then Gabriel Kahane. And then some of the more like late classical music that we both enjoy, like the Persichetti stuff. So I think we're trying to find like, is there a way to do this music like sincerely from our perspective, and also find a way to like to not just make the aesthetic work, or like sometimes it's just the stories working together. But I think that's what we're discovering along the way. This past show at the dance hall, I realized we were able to do something like Born to be Blue, which is a Mel Torme lyric. And like kind of like I love just digging into the aesthetic and like the prosody of the lyric, I think works really well with what Mike and I do. And Mike has a way of the stylistic aspect of it is something that he's extremely good at, that I don't know a lot of other folks that can make that switch as authentically. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as a listener and a fan, it's rewarding to see that big range of things happening up there. And are you both generating ideas about things to perform, and are there times when it just doesn't work and you just dump it?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Which I think is good. I mean, I'd rather know than wonder. So yeah, if we try something and it fails to integrate or just simply fails, then like, all right, good, that was worth a shot. Do something else.
Yeah. What are some things that haven't worked that you've tried? They're notable cases.
I think we tried a Stephen Sondheim piece that I love. It's called I Remember from Evening Primrose, and I think that was a good piece to explore. And I think what we ended up getting out of it is the love for a show tune and digging into the many different ways a lyric can be interpreted, or written sheet music, and how you can take what Sondheim wrote, but then also have some different places for exploration and, elongating bars, pausing, and then like taking a left turn into improvisation land to hopefully build on whatever you just, sang from the composer. So building on something like that, from a jazz perspective. But then I think that it was like the delivery overall for me felt like I was trying to put on my classical hat and it wasn't quite fitting yet,
Yeah, and yet might be right. Like, yeah, I mean, sometimes things fail once and sometimes things fail once and it tells you very little. It's like, well, let's try it again.
Yeah.
Like maybe we just need to reapproach that next time or find some different avenue if that's a tune that we love so much,
Yeah, I'm amazed too, Mike, in all the projects that you do. There's some kind of thread flowing through everything where it's always you're playing and you really have a style and sound, and some of the songs that you approach that are covers, you're doing very much how they sound on the album, and some of them are wildly interpreted, which is really fun to hear that range of things. How do you find your way into a song that's not your own?
Sometimes it's obvious. Like sometimes something will simply jump out at you based on your past experiences of things that are either like it or are like things that you've spun around to be like the thing that is also like. So sometimes there's like a direct connection, and sometimes it's more contextual from history. Sometimes I don't know. Like sometimes I'll try stuff a few ways and see if something sticks or not. Because the process of going through something and finding something that doesn't work tells you a lot. It's like, all right, I'll choose a direction and go that way. Nope, that's the wrong way. Let's check out what's over here instead.
Yeah. And it's like a gut thing where you just know when you're in the zone. And
I definitely know when I'm not. So sometimes I have to wonder if I really deeply am or not. But I can almost always tell if it's not working.
And so this is a relatively new project. Are you going to be doing some recording? What's the plan moving ahead?
That's the plan, is the next time over the summer is trying to get an EP together, and
Awesome.
or at least making that plan for the EP. I think we're starting to narrow down what tunes that we really want to record.
Yeah.
And one I just got to say, one of my favorite charts I've ever given Mike for that purpose, what you just mentioned about when you know you're in the zone or not, is I gave him just a lyric sheet
Right.
for a Big Thief song, We Do Not, by Big Thief, and I just wrote in like some like textural things, or like we like circled words that we wanted to elaborate on, and it looked like there was just some kind of like Venn diagram map to it. Because once Mike knows the chords, he has like the outline. Yeah, he has the outline and like the foundation for it. And I think that was one of the most freeing pieces, because it gave us some kind of structure, but at this like just enough boundaries and limitations.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's sometimes there's an impression the composition or arranging needs to have all the information. And that's often the wrong answer. Like you in the setting anyway. Like I want just enough information.
You want to be hinting at
Just
it more
enough,
than overtly stating.
Yeah, leaving sufficient freedom that there is a clear like aesthetic vision and still having room to be oneself inside of it. Yeah, so like this lyric sheet where it's like it's big here, it's small here, spin here. That's plenty. That's plenty because we trust each other and know each other enough that will fly.
And I was just going to say that's a definite trust thing, because I don't think I'd give a lot of other people that same kind of piece of paper. But I know, Mike, that's how you work well within those kind of boundaries.
We played that tune exactly once. It was great. It was a great time.
Yeah, it was.
Awesome. And in the new EP that you're thinking about, is the plan to keep it as a duo, or do you want to flesh it out more in ways that recording might allow?
I think our goal is to do it just the two of us. We've actually talked about doing it in a live setting, or at least I know I record much better in that kind of a setting, because again, there's a little bit more freedom. It doesn't feel
Right.
The pressure. It doesn't feel like the pressure's quite as on, which for some reason seems to really help. Help with the freedom of it, yeah. So we've talked about doing that, but I think continuing to explore how much we can do as a duo.
Right.
And split the duties and the heavy lifting up accordingly, and also making sure there's not too much heavy lifting. I don't know if that makes sense too, but also figuring out where we need to simplify, where to go to, like colors and sounds that are accessible, but then also to span out and improvise in a way where harmony doesn't hold the reins.
Awesome. Well, let's head over to the blue couch and hear one of your songs.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Welcome back to Burst and Bloom Presents. We are here with Taylor O'Donnell and Lake Effenberger. And you guys are going to play a little song for us. Do you want to let us know where this one came from?
Yeah, I wrote this one in 2014 for RPM, actually, February 2014.
That's a good time.
Yeah, it was in a snowstorm. And Mike and I have played this together in a lot of different settings. And Chris and I played it at Mike's wedding to Amanda.
Oh, very sweet. So it has a very personal history.
For sure. Yeah. So you played it just to her, you're saying, right?
Just to her, yeah.
Very sweet. All right, well, let's get into it.
Night has fallen. My arms open wide and I urgently shed my disguise. When night has fallen, the night is yours, dear, covered in warm, each breath is sweet and new. It fills me through. The night is yours, dear, and I knew that my heart would be palpitating the whole time. Then I'm fine. Accolades of rainy days and palm trees and moods swaying with the breeze, meandering. For now I've fallen, no longer afraid of a smile, a silly tune. When night has fallen,
solidly. When night has fallen, the sound of your voice is a song I set my heartbeat to. When night has fallen.
Oh, that was so lovely. Thank you
Thanks.
both. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being a part of this.
Thanks for having us.
All right. We're out. Thanks.